There's a sugya in Perek HaShoyel Daf Tzadik Zayin. Steht. There's a Mishnah in Bab Metzia Daf Tzadik Zayin. There's a mashil, was mashil two pores to someone. One was a schura and one was a she'ula. And then one of them, umeiso achas mehem, steht im Mishnah zei, hamashil oimer, she'ula meiso, ve'ha-shoyel oimer, schura meiso. Steht in Gemara, there's a few cases in the Mishnah, if he's bori, he's shamo, tomer, he's bori ve'bori, yishova hasoicher, she'schura meiso. Pashtus, why is he chayev a shvuah? He tells him he owes him two pores. There's one of them it's kayum. It doesn't make a difference if it's schura or she'ula. He says that you're mechuyev to give me the pora which is alive, and you're also mechuyev to pay for the one that's the mesa because it was a she'ula. And the shoyel says no, and the mesa I'm potter because the one that was mesa is a schura, and the mesa ba'inus is potter. So he's a moide b'miktzas. Moide b'miktzas is chayev v'shvuah. As I state in the Mishnah. Frag die Gemara in Daf Tzadik Ches. Va'amai, ma she'to'anoi loi hoidoloi, or ma she'hoidoloi loi to'anoi. The din of moide b'miktzas, that you need a hoidoloi mimina ta'ina. To'anoi chitim v'hoidoloi b'soirim is pota. Frag die Gemara, ma she'to'anoi loi hoidoloi, or ma she'hoidoloi loi to'anoi. Why is that ma she'to'anoi loi hoidoloi? He was moide. He's moide that the one that's kayemes is moide that he has to give back. There's one porah lefanenu which is alive, and that is moide. Bring the Ramban b'shem HaRav, because he was mahapech what the kayemes is. Also in the porah that he was moide, he wasn't moide to what he says. The mashil tain is that the behema which is alive is a schura. And he says, no, this one is not a schura, it's a she'ula. So he wasn't moide to what he tained. He's maskim that he's mechuyev to pay. He's mechuyev to give back the behema kayames. But he wasn't moide to his tain. He tainas that the kayames is a schura, and he tainas that the behema is a shul. Doctor, what you're saying is not true. The du tainas that I owe you this porah midin schura, and I say no. Schura, idas nicht, I'm only chayiv midin shul. As I state in Ravet. There's a bigger riches in the Ramban, but in the Nekude, was is dann again, sagt der Ramban, das ist nicht ames. Even if I tell you that the kayames, if I claim that the pora kayames is a schura, and you, I taina is a schura, and you say she'ula, you're moide to my taina. Why? Sagt der Ramban, mipnei sheyesh bichlal she'ula schura. Let me just see. Oh, that's it. Sagt der Ramban, jetzt over on page 408. יש לא ימרשאילו וסחירס תרוויו פיקוד נינו ושלא יהם וחוזרים בזמן שכיומים ויש בכלל שיילה סחירס. יש בכלל, it's like בכלל מסע ימון. He says, if I say that I'm a shoyel, I'm moide that I'm a soicher. Bechlal, any shoyel is just more than a soicher. It's not something else. It's a soicher mit a toisefes chiyov. Is loshen, amoyre dik loshen, the Ramban. Bamir is mamish, bemis by Lentis, bamir a groisi, a soid, and a groisi chidish, and alle choimrim. Sagt the Ramban azay, harehu ketoyanoi, poro hifkadeti etzlecho b'shmiras chinum. What will happen if I say Yoshem Mechinam on the poro? And Nitva will say, I'll say Yoshem Mechinam, but Yoshem Mechinam, which was masne to be chayev also on Gneve Vavete. The Gemara says in Saf HaPoyalim, masne Shem Mechinam li is keshoyel. He can make a t'nai. He can say, I'm mechuyev, even though I'm a Shem Mechinam, I'm mekabel on myself, a chayev Gneve Vavete. So what will be if I say Yoshem Mechinam, which was masne, and you'll say, no, I was a Shem Mechinam, which wasn't. So, and the chelik that you're moide, that you're chayiv, there's no difference. Yoshem Mechinam is chayiv b'pshiyah. I tell you that you were master something, and you say that not. But on the pshiyah, we're saying the same thing. I say Yoshem Mechinam that's chayiv b'pshiyah, and the chagizok is zugelegt at night, and you say I've been Yoshem Mechinam pshiyah without the night. And the chelik that we agree, I'm moide exactly to what you said, right? Zok the Ramban, if I say that you're a shoyel or a soicher, and you say I'm a soicher, what a shoyel means? Shailu schiras tarvayu pikot ninu v'yesh bichlal mosai mone. A shoyel is a soicher mit noch epes. I have everything that I'm chayiv midin soicher, just I have a toisefes chiyuv. Not only am I chayiv b'gnei v'avoid, I was mischayiv also in oinzi. Now, yeah, right, same cow. I'm talking about the case of two cows. There's one that's alive and one that's dead. What?
I'm not just being moida on what I am. I'm saying this is a different cow.
What do you mean a different cow?
This is the cow that I rented.
What's like this one? There's a cow which is alive. I'm talking about like this. On the one that's dead, I'm koifer. I say that I don't have to pay, right? Then the one that's not alive, I'm a koifer, which is alive. What? So what? Right, that's the vikuach. Is this the cow that you rented or is this the cow that I borrowed? What's the difference? No. He's claiming two. Moide b'miktzas means that I'm claiming from you two and you're moide to one. So we have to know if this one, are you being moide to what I said or you're being moide to something else? So, right, I say like this cow is a schura. You say, no, it's not a schura, it's a shula. So, the Ramban's shula and schura is the same thing. Shula mit schura is the selbe Sach, just the shula is epes noch. Schura is a schura mit noch achiv. A gewaltige Yesod, the Ramban says that jeder shoyel be'etzem, avifel, he's gleich to the soicher, av gneve v'aveda, he's the same chiyuv as a soicher. We know that there's arba shoymrim. I would say, I want to speak about this as the yesod, which is a very nikud. Is there arba shoymrim, or there's really just one shoymer, just as a tesefes chiyuv, another tesefes chiyuv, another? It seems like what the Ramban is saying, be'etzem is not arba shoymrim. I think it's a moiridik yesod. Just before we say anything, I just want to say, l'choyre, you have to, when I tell you this cow is a shula, a schura, and it's alive, what I don't want you to pay me money, I want you to give me back the cow itself, right? Now, the cow itself, you have to be a shoyel to give me back. You don't have to be anything, it's mine. My taina, when I say that this pora kayamas is a schura shula, the chelik that for a soicher or a shoyel is not negea. The only thing that's negea, it's mine. Right? If it's mine, give it back to me. If it's not mine, you keep it. So what's the difference? What does the Ramban have to say, this whole Torah, that a shoyel and a soicher be'etzem is the zel bezach? That's when he's speaking about the chiyuvim of a shoymer. When I'm speaking about the behema hakayemes, I don't even have to say that I'm a shoymer b'chlal. When I tell you, give me back this cow, I don't have to say that you're a shoymer. I did say that you're shoymer, but it's not important. The thing that my taina is not shoymer. My taina is this chayfetz is mine. Mona libiot. The chayfetz is mine. You have to give me. Yeah, the kasha is understood. This is machlekes. The Ravid halta shaila mitzchiris is two minim, and the Ramban says shoyel mitzchiris is one min. All of this is ibrik. All of this is not important. I'm not even talking about chiyuv shoyim b'chlal. Darf man sagen, da greise yesod is in Yeshivas and Simen Pei Zayin, v'zogt a gewaltige yesod. Moide b'miktzas hatayne is if someone, zogt in Yeshivas, what will happen if I tell somebody speaking about such a case, you have in your chotzer two poris kayomois, two live cows, and I tell you, they're mine. You have to give it back to me, it's mine. You're not a shoymer, you're not a soicher, they walked in by themselves. I say, these two poris are mine, please let me take them. And you say, one of them is and one of them isn't. Zogt in Yeshivas, you're not chayev v'shvuah, you're not a moide b'miktzas. Favos. Zogt in Yeshivas, for chiyuv moide b'miktzas, you have to be toiveya a chiyuv haguf. I have to say that you owe me something. You are chayev. If I just say that's mine, you're not mechuyev anything. You have in your chotzer this kama poris standing. I say that's mine. It's not a tvir on your guf. And if I don't have any tvir that you owe me something, it's not called a tayene, and it's not moide b'miktzas. Zok Ravid. So when I come and I say this pora is kayemes, bal korchoch, the moide b'miktzas is not because it's mine. If I say this pori kayemes is mine, the reason that the Mishnah is mechayev v'shvu is not because I say that the pori is mine. That's not enough. That's not mechayev v'shvu, right? That's not a chiyuv haguf. What is Mechayev Shvuah? Because a shomer, not only, when I say that there's Poris Kayemis, I'm not only saying that the Porah is mine, I'm saying that you have a Chiyuv HaShovah. There's a Chiyuv on you to give it back to me. There's a din that a shomer, so sagt in the Yeshivas. A shomer, when he has a pikodon, he has a chiyuv to make sure that the pikodon gets back to the bailim. If he wasn't a shomer, I don't have to do anything. If you say that this porah, which is in my chotze, belongs to you, I say, give a chanetze. Take it yourself, give a chanetze alain. I don't have to do anything. I don't owe you anything. But if you're a shomer is a mechuyev to make hashov on the chifetz. Dr. Ravid, the chiyuv shvuah is not on the be'en. The chiyuv shvuah is on the chiyuv that you have to give it to me. I tell you have a chiyuv hashove on this porah. And you say, my chiyuv hashove is not midin soicher. My chiyuv hashove is midin shoyel. Because all we're talking about is the chiyuv hashove, and we're talking about two separate chiyuv hashove. Af dem sagt der Ramban, nein. The chiyuv hashove von shoyel, the chiyuv hashove von soicher is all the same. Because any chelek that all dalet shoymim seinen gleich, if a soicher and a shoyel are both chayiv to pay gneve v'aveda, they're both chayiv b'hashove, that's not a different chiyuv. The shoyel has that chiyuv, but plus. So a gewaltige Sach, which be'etzem, it's very moving, it's very mistaber. What's every shoyel, the difference between a shoyel and a soicher? What's the difference between a shoyel and a soicher? They both really are shoyelim. They both borrow. He pays for it and he doesn't pay for it. He does it bechinam and he's paying for it. Be'etzem, every shoyel is a soicher. Every shoyel is a soicher. He took yenem's chayfetz lehishtamshes. That's the taich from soicher. Just the soicher, paid for the ishtamshes. The shoyel took it bechinam. Sagt the Gemara, why is the shoyel more chayev? Because kol hanoah shaloi. He didn't have to pay for it. He gets everything. Sagt the Ramban, be'etzem shoyel is a soicher. Yeah, the shoyel is a soicher. When the Torah said that a shoyel is chayev more, hat the Torah gesagt, it depends. If you paid for the shaila, you only chayev for gneve v'aveda. If you didn't pay for the shaila, so then you chayev even an oinsim. It's the same shem, it's the same chayev, just because he didn't pay for it, he has not a tesefes chiyuv. It's not mistaber that the chiyuv, why should the chiyuv pshiyah should be a different chiyuv? It's doch nicht mistaber, und es ist sehr Geschmack in Posik. The Posik, v'chiyi shalish me'yis rayeyu, ich weiß, whatever it says in the Posik, so he's chayev.
The beginning of the book.
When v'chiyi, וכי איש על איש מאם רעהו ונשבר אמס וכולו ואם סוחר הוא בו בסחוי. תראה sagt das וכי איש על איש מאם רעהו. So it depends. Hast das getan bechinam, so you pay for shaila, you pay for unsim. Im socher hu, what does im socher hu means? This person that we're talking about, v'chi yishal, this person that's a shoyel. So what's his din? If he paid for it, is Bobby schori. He used to be paid for it, so memeli is chayev less. As is shittas Ramban, richtig? Shittas Ramban adover niflo ma'oid. Atzach gut ein. Be'etzem, der Ramban hat uns gesagt, that a shoyel mit a soicher is the same shoymer, just it's masne shemachinam liyes keshoyel. The same thing, poshet, will be by shemachinam and shemasocha. A shemachinam and shemasocha is a plus zwei shemes. Shemachinam is a shoymer. A shemasocha is more mechuyev because they pay him. It's the same thing. Mr. Tomer Ramban will say that's also the same thing. What will be if I'll be toivea, that you're a shemachinam on this, and you'll say, I'm a shemasocha. So by the chiyuv pshiyah, you're being moide, because the same chiyuv. A shoymer. Every shoymer is chayiv b'pshiyah. If Eib metzolter, if you get paid for it, so then you're mechuyev noch. But the pshiyah is the same chiyuv. Hashem asocha is Hashem achinam. Yeah? As is mistaber. Erzach, nifla moed. So I want to know, why is, we talk about pshiyah. Let's talk about pshiyah. Why is Hashem asocha chayiv b'pshiyah? Doesn't say. Doesn't say anywhere that Hashem Masocher is chayiv b'pshiyah. What's the tshuva? The tshuva is every Hashem Masocher is Hashem Machinam, right? And Hashem Machinam state, I'll call dvar pesha. I'll call dvar pesha is chayiv b'pshiyah. Every Hashem Masocher is also Hashem Machinam. Right? The mechayiv from the Hashem Machinam is that he's a shoymer. Just Hashem Masocher has a chayiv gneve v'aveda. Ach amira dikikash. Toisves in Shavuos taf membeis. Daf membeis on the base. The Mishnah says there's a miut avodim shtoros v'kakoyos are potter. Avodim shtoros v'kakoyos, there's no chiyuv shoimrim. Sagt the Mishnah, Eilu dvorim shein ishboim, avodim shtoros v'kakoyos v'ekdeshes. If I give you an evet to be shoimer, you're potter from chiyuvei shmir.
Page 410. Remember Baba Yeshiva is on 412 and 4.
Oh, sehr gut. Sehr gut, ja. Is sagt der Mishnah, shoimer the lashon von der Mishnah. Shoimer chinom einoi nishba, noisei sochar einoi meshalem. What does that mean? Shoimer chinom has to make a shvur that if he wasn't Peshaya, so he has to make a shvur. If he claims that he didn't make a pshia, he has to make a shvur. Shoimer sochar pays for Gneve Vaveda. So by a case of Gneve Vaveda, Hashem Masocher is Meshalem, and Hashem Machinom is Nishba. So the Mishnah says, by Avodim Shtoros V'Karkoyes, he's not Nishba, he's not Meshalem. Zok Tosfos. What will be if the Hashem Machinom was Poishaya? What will be if the Hashem Machinom was Poishaya? Is he chayiv to pay? Zok Tosfos, he'll also be potter. When it says Shem Machina Mein Nishba, it means also, and even if it'll be a Pshia Mamish, if we know that it's a Pshia, is Potter. Mistame, someone spoke about the Rambam. Shitas Rambam is that Shem Machina, that's Poishaya, is Chayiv. Yeah, Chayiv Pshia mit Hamazik. But Tosfos holds not like that. So Tosfos, Venire, the Shem Masocher Nami Potter mi Pshia. Not only is Shem Machina Potter mi Pshia bekarka. Hashem Masocher is echt potter mit Pshia. Was ist der Reihe? Ich bringe die Reihe von der Gemorbe bekam in Achövel. Ich verstehe nicht. Hashem Masocher says anywhere that he's chayiv b'pshia. It doesn't say. In the Pasuk it says Hashem Masocher is chayiv v'gnei v'vaveda. So where do we say, why is Hashem Masocher chayiv b'pshia? Because Hashem Masocher is Hashem Mechinam. Because yesh b'chlam Mosai Imona. Because every Hashem Masocher is Hashem Mechinam. So what does Tosfos have a suffix b'chlam? What does Tosfos need rayas? If you know that Hashem Mechinam is potter on pshia, so that's all. There's no other chayiv pshia. There's one chayiv pshia in the Torah. Hashem is chayiv b'pshia. Hashem Masocher is just a Tosfos gnei v'vaveda. Hashoyel is a Tosfos von 19. Aber pshia nicht da geendigt. If Hashem Mechinam is potter, so there's no b'chlam Mosai Imona. Ist von Tosfos ist Mashma nicht das, richtig? Von Tosfos ist weiß Tois nicht wie der Ramban. Der Ramban is speaking about Shoyel v'Soicha. The Ramban is being choylek on a Ravid. Lechoyre he learned that the Ravid is also choylek on him. Shoy Masocher hat eigene chayiv b'pshia. Shoy Masocher ist chayiv b'pshia. Und bei Emes, also steht in Rashi in Babekame Daf Daled Amud Beis. Rashi in Babekame. Yeah. The Gemara says in Babekam of Dalet Amud Beis. Toni Rab Oishie, Shloisha Osor Ovois Nezikin. And the Mishnah says Arba Ovois Nezikin. And Rab Oishie has 13 Ovois Nezikin. 4 of them is the Arba Shoimrim. Shoy Machinom, V'Hashoyel, Noisei Sochor, V'Hasoicha. What are we talking about? There's 4 Mazikim. Hashem Mechinim is called a mazik, Hashem Masocher is called a mazik, and a shoyel and a soicha. Why are they called a mazik? Why is it called a mazik? If the behemoth got lost, he's called a mazik. Zokt Rashi, yeah, but I'm talking about a different Rashi. Zwei Rashis. This I'm going to show in a minute. Rashi, right after, a little bit after, by the Divrei Maschel v'Ripu Yeshivis v'Boishes, sagt Rashi, Kol Hanach der Rab Oishie, Hu Atzmoi Mazik. The Shomer is considered that he was Mazik. Why? The Hanoch Daled Shoimrim Hein Atzmom Hiziku. Hoyil v'Leishomru Koroi. It's considered a mazik because he wasn't mazik b'yadayim. The shomer wasn't mazik b'yadayim, but he was goyrim. He was goyrim because he didn't watch it. He wasn't shomer, and by not watching, he was goyrim. So that's called, the Gemara calls, he's not a mazik b'yadayim. He's a mazik memeil. It's called a grome, but the Torah was mechayev on such a mazik, right? So verstehe ich nicht. Shoyel did anything wrong? Shoyel, the chiyav of shoyel is oinsim. What shoyel has, what's meyuchad in shoyel is a oines. Oines, the shoyel was shoymer as good as he can. He's oines. The umes, he was shoymer the behemoth. The malach hamavis killed the behemoth. He was loy shomer kohoi. Why do you call him a mazik? The Rashi sagt, as the alle shoymer are called mazikim, Because loy shomru koroi. How can you say such a thing on a shoyl? And a shoy masocha you can't either. Shoy masocha is a ganze niden in Toises in daf membeis in hamafkid. A shoy masocha noch Toises holds that a shoy masocha is chayev even if he made a shmire meule in ganzen a viele shomru bekarka meya amo. If he made a boyer omik meya amo shomer, but he said that it was nignav is chayev. So, loy shomru koroi, how can you say that is a mazik? Is muchach from Rashi, and as is mevur lehedi and Rashi, which is mutkish over here, that the Gemara is not talking about oines. When Rabbi Yeshia said that our bo shoimrim are called mazikim, we're not talking about a case of oines. We're talking about a shoyel sheposha, a soicho sheposha, a shemosocho sheposha, and a shemachinam sheposha. We're talking about 4 shoimrim, which were loy shomru koroi, and they're called mazikim. And take a look in the Rashi. The Rashi Dibra Amaschel Shoy Machinam. Chayev b'pshiyeh. V'ashoyel zokt Rashi chayev afilu b'oinsim. V'kol shekein. V'shnoise socha chayovim b'gneve v'aveda. V'kol shekein b'pshiyeh. Zokt Rashi, I know that a shoy masocha is chayev b'pshiyeh because it's a kol shekein. I know that a shoyel is chayev b'pshiyeh because it's a kol shekein. So all dalet shoyimrim are chayev b'pshiyeh. You can ask me, how do you know that a shoyel is chayev b'pshiyeh? I have a kal v'choyma. A shoyel is chayev b'oinsim. State in Parshas shoyel a chayev b'pshiyeh. Zokt Rashi, there's 4 shoyimrim, which all of them are chayev b'pshiyeh, and all of them are separate parshas in the Torah. Shoy machinam chayev b'pshiyeh. Shoy masocha chayev b'pshiyeh. Shoyel chayev b'pshiyeh. Who steht es? Because it states shoyel is chayev b'oinsim. It's a kal v'choyma. It says shoy masocha chayev b'gnei v'aveda kal v'choyma. So it's as if it says 4 times in the Torah that a shoyel is chayev b'pshiyeh. This shoyel is chayev b'pshiyeh. No, sagt Rashi that the chayev b'pshiyeh from shoyel, where do we know it from? From shoyel. The reason a shoyel is chayev b'pshiyeh learns sich from Parshas shoyel. Not, we learn it because it says, oh, in Simon there's a kal v'choyma. That means it's as if it says it in Parshas shoyel. We have a kal v'choyma. Sagt Rashi, a chayev b'pshiyeh from a shoyel and a chayev b'pshiyeh from a shoy masoch is not the chayev b'pshiyeh from a shoy machinam. Das was a shoy masoch is chayev b'pshiyeh is a eigene chayev b'pshiyeh. It says it in Parshas shoy masoch. There's a parsha that says shoy machinam chayev. Then there's another parsha that says the shoy masoch is chayev b'pshiyeh. So Avad is ok Tosfos in Shavuos daf mem beis. So Tosfos says, now I have a miut. I have a miut that on karka there's no chayev b'pshiyeh. The Mishnah is speaking about the chayev b'pshiyeh of a shoy machinam. What's the din of chayev b'pshiyeh of shoy masoch? Maybe a shoy machinam spot of b'pshiyeh. Aber a shoy masoch nicht. Sagt es a chabarei for the Gemara nachhoivel. But all of this is ibrik. Aliba the shittas Ramban. All of this is not geya because a shoyel, there's no chayev b'pshiyeh the shoyel. The chayev b'pshiyeh the shoyel is because yesh b'chlau masai yimone. Sagt the Ramban, the chayev just like a chayev gneve v'aveda. He's speaking about the chayev hashov. It's all the same. Chayev hashov the shoyel is midin soicha. If I Let's take the case that the Ramban is talking about. There's a toyan and a nitan. I say you're mechuyev in pshiyeh because you're a shoy machinam. And the nitan says, no, I'm not a shoy machinam, I'm a shoy masocha. I'm chayev b'pshiyeh, but I'm a shoy masocha. Lefi Rashi over here, merat wegen 2 besondere chiyuvim. That's to'anoi, chitim, v'hoidelei b'soirim, richtig. Aliba the shittas Rashi. If I'm toiveya, that you're mechuyev b'shiyeh, midin shoy machinam. And you say, no, I'm a shoy masocha. Why am I chayev b'pshiyeh? Not midin shoy machinam, I'm midin shoy masocha. Richtig. Sagt Rashi, that's called masha to'anoi, loi, hoidelei. I wasn't waited to what you're saying. You're saying I'm chayiv b'shiyeh midin echod, and I'm saying I'm chayiv b'shiyeh midin sheni. Richtig. So we have clear big machlokes rishonim. Yeah, shitas haramban that is one chayiv b'shiyeh. What will the Ramban do with the Gemara Baba Kama? What will the Ramban do with the Gemara Baba Kama? The Gemara says it's called arba oves. There's shoy machinam v'ashoyel, noises socha v'asoicha. Steht das is arba oves nezikin. It's 4 oves nezikin. It's all one av, the chiv pshiyeh. The chiv pshiyeh is the same chiv. The Ateres is, the Ramban will learn the Gemara different. Tosfos learns different. I made take a look in Tosfos. Divrei Amaschel shloisha osar oves nezikin. So Tosfos person, man bemerkt das nicht bechlal. Sagt Tosfos, shloisha osar oves nezikin. Sagt Tosfos, v'dineihem yud beis. Rabbi Yeshia says this, shloisha osar oves. Zok Toisvis is take shloisha asar. But dinehem, there's not shloisha asar chilukei dinim. There's shneim asar chilukei dinim. Shloisha asar ovis, but dinim there's yud beis. What does it mean dinim is yud beis?
Right across
Shloisha asar ovis is
across from the grave.
Yeah. Shloisha ovis is what says shloisha asar? You should say all that. It's all dinim. It's not dinim yud beis. It's dinim. He said, why is it dinim yud beis? The soicher. What does that mean? Because there's no difference. Hashem Masocher and Asoicha have the same din. We're talking about Pshia. Ali Rashi, what are we talking about? Hashem Machinam Sheposha, Hashem Masocher Sheposha, and Asoicha Sheposha, Shoel Sheposha. It's all one din. Why did they say the name Yud Beis? They should say the name Tes. There's 9 dinim. Ashoyima, which is Poyesheya, the same thing. Shem Machinam Sheposha Chayv, Shem Masocher Sheposha Chayv, Shoel Sheposha Chayv, it's all the same thing. In Pshia, they're the same. In Gneve Vaveda, they're not the same. We're not talking about Gneve Vaveda, we're talking about Pshia. Was meint Toisves? Der Teretze Toisves lernt nicht für Rashi. Richtig. Toisves learns not like Rashi. Toisves learns that when the Braise is saying, Arbo, Shloisha, Osar, Ovis, Nezikin, we're talking about the chiyuvim, the different chiyuvim. The thing that shoyel is chayiv and shemachinam isn't, which means shoyel is chayiv b'oinsim, and shemasocher is chayiv gneve v'avede, and shemachinam is chayiv b'pshia. And they're also called mazikim. They're also called mazikim, even though he was shoymer koroi. The Torah calls, the Gemara, Rabbi Yeshua calls him a mazik, even though he did nothing wrong. Richtig? Sagt Tosfos, dineim, arba oves, there's only shloisha dinim, because one is pshia, one is gneve v'aveda, and one is oinsim. There's gneve v'aveda, shoymer socher, sagt enochanami, dineim, shtayim. But if Tosfos would have learned like Rashi, so he would have said all 4 is the same din, we're talking about the same din. Haben mir da afanot amachlekes Rashi und Tosfos. Who's the Tana referring to when he says that Arbo Shoimrim are Arbo Ovis Nezikin? Rashi learns that he's speaking about Pshia, because Rashi holds that the Chiv Pshia from Shemachinam and the Chiv Pshia from Shoyel is a different Chiv. There's 2 Parshias, so it's 4. Dinayim the same. It's the same din. Tosfos says it can be the same din. But Tosfos learned nicht das. Tosfos, we're not talking about Pshia, we're talking about Oinsim. So the Ramban will learn unsere Gemara as wie Tosfos. The Ramban in Bob Metzia Tzadik Ches, he's going to learn unsere Gemara from Rabbi Yeshua just like Tosfos, because he holds it in Pshia, they're all the same. So there's Gneve, there's Pshia, and there's Oinsim. Das sind 3 Sachen. Because it's really Yud Beis. Why? Because the Dalet Shoimrim are 3. Why? Because one is Pshia, one is Chayiv Gneve V'Aveda, and one is Chayiv Oinsim. So it's 3 different Chiyuvim, right? Aber Alibe de Rashi, it's 1. Alibe de Rashi, it's 1. Alibe de Dos. The same thing over here on Daf Hei Amud Aleph is also the same Tosfos Divrei Ramaschel Uktoni. So Tosfos says over, it's Mevu and the same thing in Yana. Tosfos asks, why does the Tana call them 3? Be'etzem it's b'yesoide 1 din. So Tosfos, no, sagt shloisha gavne lefi shem shnoyim kedektoni noise socha v'asoicha. I'm saying Tosfos means to ask this kasha. Why did the Tana b'chlal recha noise soicha mit noise socha? He means l'shitosa, he means soicha noise socha. He's asking Tosfos, why does the Tana call them b'chlal separate Ovis Nezikin? Because in the Mishnah they're called separately. In the Mishnah they're written separately. Tosfos doesn't say it mefurish. Tosfos says, "Dektoni sheimachina v'ashoyin esasocha v'asoicha dektoni gavne tuve lechoira lefi dvarinu." Tosfos means to ask sheimasocha v'asoicha. In Tosfos Rabbeinu Peretz do, and Tosfos in Gittin. Tosfos in Gittin Daf Mem Beis. I don't think it's over here in the Maram Koimis. Tosfos in Gittin says eine interessante Sache. There's a din like this. There's a din Sheves. O'odom ha'choyvel b'chaveiro is chayiv 5 dvarim. Nezek, tzar, ripui, Sheves. What's Sheves? Nezek is, lama sagen, if he took off an aver. He was choyvel and he was mafsid him an aver. He lost an aver. So he has to pay how much an aver is worth. And Shomin Oisek Eved, how much, by Avodim, how much do you pay for Eved with the Ever, how much do you pay without, and the difference he has to pay. What's Sheves? Sheves is Chutz from the Ever. When a person gets such a Chavole, when someone gets as Amin Makkah, so he's sick in bed for a Chodesh till he can even do anything else. He has to lie in bed, so you pay him for that Nezek. That's also a Hezek. It's a Hezek. Now he can't even be a Shomer Kishuin. That's what the Gemara says in HaChovel. He can't do anything. So I was mazik him 2 Hezekes. The Hezek of the Ever itself, and I was also mazik him the choili. I made him sick for a chodesh, so he loses money from being sick. Zoktai says, what's the din? Odom shehizik shoir. He was mazik yenem's shoir, Odom hamazik. He was mazik the shoir, but he wasn't machzer him ever. He just caused the shoir a nezek shesoifei lehisrapois. The shoir won't be able to work for a chodesh. So it's a hefsid moment. The Bailam has a shoir, he can use him for chrisha, and a ganze chodesh, he doesn't have a shoir. Zoktais first, he's potter. Why? Because he's a miut. It says in the parsha von Chvoles, v'chiyiten ish mum ba'amisoi. And the Gemara darshans, ish ba'amisoi, v'loi shoir ba'amisoi. It's the same way that we darshan, v'loi shoir ba'amisoi, we darshan v'loi ish b'shoir. So the chiyuv from Dalet Dvorim, alle Dalet Dvorim, Nezek, Tzar, Ripe, Sheves, Boishes, all of the Dalet Dvorim is only by Ish B'ish. But Ish B'shoir nicht. Ad kan sehr gut. Right? Ad kan sehr posh. What will be if I'm a shoyel? What will be a shoyel? A shoyel was shoyel a behema, and by the time of the shaila, the behema became genizikt. He got a hezek. But it was a hezek shesoifei lehisrapos. Does a shoyel have to pay for it? Zokteis fisen gitten membeis? No, he doesn't need to. Why not? A shoyel has to pay for every hezek. Zokteis is in Gemorren bekam a state as alle arboa shoymrim are called mazikim. So the chiyuv von alle arboa shoymrim is mazik, and if mazik is a miut, ish ba'amisoi v'leshoyer ba'amisoi. This hezek von sheves you don't pay for. So if a mazik doesn't pay for it, a shoyel doesn't pay for it. Frage ich, verstehe nicht. You can say that he's a mazik if he was poisheah, but if it was a oinus, you can say that he's a mazik. The chiyuv tashlum shoyel is chayiv to pay for oinsim. Rashi says over here, Rashi zoktach doin babekama, that the arba ovis which are called mazikim is only pshia. The Rashi that we just learned. Rashi says that why they're called mazikim? Hoyel v'loy shomru koroi. So the chiyuv, machinam shemasocha shoyel, that word poisheya is called a mazik, but that the shoyel is chayiv ba'insim, that's not mazik. Is mevur in toises in gitten, like is mevur in toises doin babekama. That Rabbi Yeshia, when Rabbi Yeshia said that arba ovis nazikim, arba shemrim are called mazikim, he meant mazikim oinsim gneve vavede. That's also called a hezek. Das ist als dem Schiete. Ja, wir haben da ganz klar weggestellte Schiete. Schietas HaRamban is like this Schiete von Tosfos. Schietas HaRamban, Pshia, every shoyel is chayev b'pshia, midin shoy machinam. You ask me, why is a shoyel chayev b'pshia? A shoyel is chayev b'pshia, midin shoy machinam. A shoy masoche chayev midin shoy machinam. He's chayev b'gneve v'aveda, because it's like a shoy machinam, which was masna. So Eba Zei, the Ramban has to say, so what's the arba ovis? There's no arba ovis. A shoyel is chayev b'pshia because he's also a shoy machinam. Das was a shoyel is chayev b'pshia is because he's a shoy machinam. So there's one person. Pshia is a shoy machinam. There's nothing else. Muss man sagen, the Ramban learned like Tosfos, right? The Ateres, the Ramban learned like Tosfos, that when Rabbi Yeshia said arba, he didn't mean pshia. Enoch hanami. Pshia is one. But there's another one. There's Gneve Vaveda, and there's Oinsim, and those are the Chiluke Dinim. Right? Ad kan lechoire klar de Schitte. Ich will euch noch fragen, am Meredike Kasha, wo es ist lechoire Appelle Otzum von euch. Da steht in Gemorre, One Bashoyel, Dav Tzadik Dale Domot Beis. Yeah, so, yeah? 4:16. Yeah. Yeah. Steht das.
4:16.
Steht das. The Gemara says, we're madgish over the Tosfos. I want to say it for the first from the Gemara. Zok the Gemara. Menoha nimili. Steht in Tnan Hossam, aber Shoimrim, der Din ist, aber Shoimrim, Shemachinam is Chayev an Pshie, Shoyel is Chayev an Oinsim, und Shemachach is Chayev Gneve Vavede. Sagt die Gemorre, Meno Hanimili. Sagt die Gemorre, der Tonu Rabbonon, Parshe Rishoyino Nemra b'Shemachinam, Shnio b'Shemachachor, Shlishis b'Shoyel. In the first parsha it says Pshia, the second parsha says Gneve Vaveda, and the third parsha state Oinsim. Oinsim, which is Shoyel. Sagt die Gemorre, Bishlei Meshlishis b'Shoyel Mefurish. It says, V'chi yishal ish me'im re'yayu, me'Israel, me'im re'yayu. Ela Rishoyne b'Shem Achinon, Ushniya b'Shem Asachor, Eipo Chano. Who says, it says, V'chiyit nisha re'yayu kesef v'kelim, Lishmoir, V'chiyit nisha re'yayu b'heima Lishmoir. Who says that the first parsha is Bechinam, and the second parsha is Bischar? Sagt die Gemorre, Mistaber, Shniya b'Shem Asachor, Shekin Chayev b'Gneve Vaveda. You see in the second parsha is more chomer. The second parsha is Chayev b'Gneve Vaveda. The first parsha isn't. So nu vasim mistaber. If you pay him, he's more mechuyev, right? If he does it bechinam, it's a svor that should be more potter. If he gets paid for it, it's a svor that should be Chayev. Frag die Gemorre, hat Pelle dicke Sach. Adrabe, pile ploi. Adrabe, rishoyne b'shoy masocher. Why? No. It's more mistaber that Rishoy masocher should be potter and Gneve Vaveda. Why? Shekein meshalem tashlumei kefil betoyen tainas ganav. Sagt die Gemara, there is a chumre in Shemachinam. There is something which the Shemachinam is more chumre than a Shemasocher. In what? A Shemachinam is potter and gneve. So when he tainas that it was nignav, they potter him. And if it was a sheker and he made a shvur, he has to pay kefir. Masheker Shemasocher, when he says nignava, you mechayev him. So he didn't patter himself. If he didn't patter himself, he doesn't have to pay kefir. So the Gemara, who says that this is more chomer? Maybe this is more chomer. You give a choice. Who gets the chomer? Mitzad echad, he's chayev and gneve vaveda. Mitzad sheni, being pot on gneve vaveda can cause you kefir. So could it be that that's more chomer? So who says that the first parsha may be verkehrt? Zogt die Gemara filo hachi, karne beloi shvur, adifem bikfeile bishvur, karne is more mistab. But the Gemara be'emes had a big suffix about this, and the Rishonim say that it's not poshet. The Gemara's teretz is not poshet. Taisus in Hamafkid says that there's a machlokes. Maybe kfeile is more chomer than karen. And Taisus looks, and Taisus says a different teretz on the Gemara's kash. But I want to ask you, let's just think. What does the Gemara want? That Hashem Asocher will be potter and gneve vaveda, and Hashem Achinam will be chayev. Yeah? Why? Why is it more mistaber? Because there is a tzad chomer amaskim. There's a tzad chomer, because if he's potter at the end, he'll be chayev kefil. Ich verstehe nicht. Every Hashem Asocher is Hashem Achinam. Right? That's what the Ramban says. Every Hashem Asocher is Hashem Achinam. Is it possible that there should be something that Hashem Achinam is chayev and Hashem Asocher isn't? You can say Svares, it's kedai, it's mistaber, but he's Hashem Achinam. He is someone which is Sayashem Achinam, Sayashem Asocher. If we'll find someone that was Mekabel on himself, two Chiyuv Shmir. He was Mekabel once Chiyuv Shmir Bechinam, and then Mekabel again Chiyuv Shmir B'Shem Asocher. I think it's possible. I think in Hamafkid, in Daf Lamed Hey Amud Beis, there's a tzir that someone was Mekabel a few times. You can become a shoyel 4 times on the same day. So I'm going to say it's going to be potter midin shemachinam. Midin shemachinam is chayev b'gneve v'aveda. Shemasocha is potter. So is it possible to say you have a svora that it's kedai to be potter him because at the end of the chayev, but you can't. He's a shemachinam. If bichlal mosayim mone, so whoever is a shemasocha is a shemachinam. So he's chayev b'gneve. It's impossible to make it fakir. You can say svoras. Lechoyer von die Gemara is a Reihe Gdoile zu Shitas Rashi in Babekame, which we call Shitas HaChoyv Kimal Ramban, maybe it's the Ravid, as he nicht das Hashem Asocher is not Hashem Achinam. Hashem Asocher lechud, and Hashem Achinam lechud. Hashem Achinam has his chiyuvim. You're right. I said, I'm asking that it's a svora. I'm asking that there's a big svora to say the pater him, but I'm saying you can't. If I'm a Shem Achinam, I'm chayev gnei vaveda. How in the world can I not be chayev gnei vaveda? Why is he not?
Because he can't pay the kefil. It's impossible. How would
Again.
Shemachinam will pay kefil.
Shemachinam. No. Yeah. We're talking about, that's what we're talking about. Is he chayiv on gneva v'aveda? Is he chayiv on gneva? Is he chayiv to pay if it was niknaf? So you say like this. There's a svara to say, there's a reason to say that he should be potter. Because if you'll say that he's potter, it'll come from a chayiv kefil, right? That's why there is a tzad chumrah in making him potter. Good. There's a tzad chumrah. So if you give me the choice, if I can give him a chayiv or give him a ptur, right? We're trying to figure out which din did the Torah give the shoym hasocha, which din did the Torah give the shoym machinam. So there's a svara lekan and a svara lekan. But that's all if it's two dinim, which you can choose. It could be that he's chayiv, he's potter. But if every shoym hasocha is a shoym machinam, if the Ramban says that every shoyel is a soicha, it's called b'chlal masayim maneh. So a shoym hasocha is a shoym machinam. Right? You can't make a shoym hasocha, but we're speaking about, the Gemara wanted to say, forget, right. That's what I'm asking. Right? Now you say. The Gemara. No, that's no kasha. No, you're right. But here's a shoym machinam, which isn't potter and gneva. And kedei to be chayiv kefil, you have to be potter and gneva. Right? Kedei to give you a chayiv kefil, you have to be potter. You weren't potter. But that's good. That's why you're not chayiv kefil. I'm saying, but we want to be done the chatchila. Should he be chayiv and gneva or not? So you say there's a svara to say there should be potter. You can say svaras, but you just can't do it. If he's a shoym machinam also, so he's chayiv. He's chayiv because shoym machinam is chayiv. You can't say as a shoym machinam that got paid is less. If it's b'cham masayim moneh, lechoyres is a pela otzum. It's a raya brua to shitas Rashi. A shoym hasocha is not a shoym machinam. It's something which needs a pshat, but it's a raya gdoile. A shoym hasocha hayois. I think the pshat is it's a gzeras hakosov. Hayois that the Torah hat angeteilt a parshe, a besondere parshe für shoym hasocha. So it's yotzame in a klal. It's yotzame in a klal. The Torah said this is a shoym machinam, and a shoym hasocha is nicht kein shoym machinam. A shoym hasocha has to have his own chayiv b'shir. You want to be mechayiv a shoym hasocha and b'shir, you have to learn it from the parsha for shoym hasocha itself. So Rashi says you learn it because a shoym hasocha is chayiv b'gneva v'aveda. If it's chayiv b'gneva, it's chayiv b'shir. So you can say, now I don't know, is he chayiv b'shir? He chayiv b'shir. You can say a shoym hasocha will be. Aber lieber der Ramban is a greise kashe v'tzorich ion godel. What? Why? I'm saying that chelik is totally in the Gemara, and it's a raya from the Gemara. But is the svara from the Ramban totally in the Gemara? How? No. We see from the Gemara what the svara is, that it's possible to say that the shoym hasocha is not b'chlal masayim maneh. Do we have a Gemara that said fakert? We don't have any Gemara that said otherwise. The Ramban says misvara. So I'm asking a question. No, where does the Gemara say possible? The Gemara doesn't change that chelik. That nekuda, the Gemara was never chayza. The Gemara was never chayza from that it could be a shoym hasocha, shouldn't be a shoym machinam. The seder v'tzorich in God is a kasha, and we'll leave it with the tzorich in God. A grace a kasha, if someone will have a teret, stay back. Because he was chayiv and gneva. And the chayiv kefil is only if someone pattered himself with the tainas gneva. Right? He can't say he doesn't want what he doesn't want. He's chayiv. What, Torah gave him a choice to pay him? He's chayiv. Steht in Torah, he's chayiv. No, it's more kal than that. It's a cooler. It's more kal than that. There's two chiyuvim. Yana chiyuv is more than this, but it's a chiyuv. The Gemara never said that to pay is a cooler. To pay is a chumrah. Just you gave a shoym machinam this amount of chumrah, and a shoym hasocha you gave a bigger chumrah. That you can say, oh, but it's a chumrah. It's not. Torah said you're chayiv. Chayiv means you have to. Chayiv doesn't mean that if you want you can. Chayiv is a chayiv. Let's leave it by a kasha. Ich meine, als Mom gret gute Sachen. Yeah. Keep the money. Now, Reb Shlomo hat gesagt, I should say a little bit Divrei. God, I want to tell you, Davar Yokol Me'oid. Gar nicht, was? First of all, ein Shimon and Adin, but Momen ein Shimon Adin. That's what Taisa says in Baba Kamet of David. Take a look. Momen is ein Shimon Adin. And yeah, but God, it's not Kasha on the Ramban, it's a Kasha on Rashi. And I upside, you mean if Ramban is a sheet as Rashi? Yeah. Yeah, ein Shimon Adin. Yeah. I was thinking when I came here, Mordechai Shomrim, right? That was the Indian was Shomrim, in Yoni Dalit Shomrim. It's that Pasuk. A pasuk which we all say Motzei Shabbos. Omar Shomer, Osa Boikar, Vegam Loila. It's a pasuk I think in Yeshaya. The Gemara brings it about Bekamet Avdalit. The pasuk Fir Tois Im Tiv Oyun Be'oyun. Which I think the Pshat, Omar Shomer is a Kodesh Baruch Hu. The Rebbeinu Shloim is Shomer Amo Yisrael. And he told Klal Yisrael, Osa Boikar, Vegam Loila. Which we'll see what in a minute what the Pshat. If you'll be mispalel, you'll get it. What's the boikar and the Neilah? So there's a bavust, I think it's bavust, there's a beautiful moshel from the Dubna Magid. And this pasuk. Dubna Magid said like this. Amalek Zeiten, I mean, you can say it today also. Someone had to go on a trip. Amalek Zeiten in Europe, when kalt, winter, they had to go from one city to the next big city. It took a week. Winter hat man sich angetan, warm, mit der Pferd und Wagen. They used to go with a buggy, with a new horse and wagon. Yeah, horse and wagon, as I sagt man. It's Mordechai sein. I didn't go to school, okay? I went till second grade. Yeah, Malkiel can be made. Isaid has to go on a sea in the winter in Europe. It's, ich meine, man weiß noch, was mit high snow. Es tut er sich an mit 5 Manteln und trinkt sich an ein paar Fläschchen Schnaps und gets angewärmt, aber schläft ein and he sleeps and he sleeps and he sleeps. He wakes up einmal and sagt, es ist finster in draußen. He looks outside, he sees it's still dark. He fell asleep again. He woke up at different times, it's Weiternacht. He doesn't know what's going on. The night is so long. Fragt der Balagole, sag mal, die Nacht ist sehr lang. Sagt, das der Teuers. You slept already till the next night. Sie ist ein gewinner Tag. Sie ist ein gewinner Tag. You kept on sleeping. Sie kommen die zweite Nacht. Sagt der heilige Dubna Magid. Da wissen Dubna Magid, ich bin ein Knuisch Elian. Ich bin ein Baal Meufers, ich bin ein größer Arbeitsteurer. Ich Shlomo Kluger, ist ein Talmud einer. Ein Goin mit der Dubna Magid. Dubna Magid hat gesagt, dass Jeden sitzen in Goles. Goles ist Neilah. Goles ist eine bittere, finstere Nacht. Und man sagt, what's going on? Es ist noch als Nacht. Es ist noch als Nacht. The night is so long. Sagt der Rebeste Ratatoyes, also Boikar. There were many chances that I was muchen to bring Mashiach. Aber ihr hat das verschlafen. I don't know how you say it in English. You overslept. You overslept it. Sie gewinnen eine Minute, which is roilige Ule. If you would have asked then, if you would have been roy for the Gule jene Minute, you would have gotten it. Ihr hat das verschlafen. Ich war noch einmal Nacht. Omar Shomer, Ossa Boika vegam. Im Tivoyon Boyo. The Gemara says in Chelik, Rabbi Shua ben Levi asked, Novi Nacht, sag mir. No, he asked Mashiach. They told him, he asked, I remember who he asked, where's Mashiach? And they told him where Mashiach is sitting in Shari Roimi. And he went to see him, and he spoke to him. And the Gemara says, what was Mashiach doing? He was sitting zwischen alle Ormalite, all of the Anim of Roimi. And he was busy being choivish. He was bandaging their wounds. All of these Aniyim were people with machles, and Mashiach is taking care. Sagt die Gemara say, if he's putting a bandage on a wound, so he puts one. I don't know. There's 2 ways of doing it. You can do it that'll take a few minutes to put the whole bandage on, and you can do it bislachweise, one piece, another piece, another piece. Sagt die Gemara, he does it one piece. Bastickel, bastickel, bastickel. So Rabbi Shua ben Levi asked him, Favos, why don't you do it the normal way? Take the whole bandage. Sagt Dilme misrami shaite. Maybe the minute that the Geula will come when I'll be in between these 2 bandages. And I don't want to leave him in the middle, and I can lose the whole thing. Sagt die Gemara, there's such a thing. The Gemara is mistama a remez, but the nekuda steht in Gemara. The Geula is waiting, it can come. If we're ready then, chapt man rein the minute. If we're not ready when the minute comes, it can cost us another 1,000 years of Golus. It can cost us, if we can say what this means, it can cost a second world war. The price was me can zahlen, a verschlafen jene Minute, can be concentration camps, can be Spanish Inquisition. Zorres and Schmodes was Klalis auch durchgemacht. We can never know. The richtige Minute, we'll have the minute, we'll get it. We're Khalil, if we miss it, och und weh. Was das als nicht zu uns? Zipiseli Yeshua is a chiyuv. Zipiseli Yeshua is a chiyuv, which is from the first chiyuvim that we're going to ask every Yid when we get there. Beshloi, keshemachnisim es Adam ledin, the v'hoya amunas etach choisen Yeshua is the fourth shayla which every Yid gets asked when he reaches Bezdin Shalmal is Zipiseli Yeshua. In the Siddur which I use, I think Siddur Hagro, at the bottom, the Rim Geshem da Arizal, that when we say Lishuoscha Kivinu Kolayim, you should be mechaven. You should be mechaven that I'm being a Metzapeli Yeshua, because they're going to ask me if I'm being a Metzapeli Yeshua. Every Yid has to answer I was Metzapeli Yeshua. But the Tzipiseli Yeshua is something which is not only a chiyuv. It's something which can make the day, which the whole Geula can be vensach. If someone's waiting for the Geula, so he prepares himself for it. If we do the right things, this is something which negate to all of us. Every minute of Avodas Hashem is something which can bring the Geula. The Gemara says in Kedushin, Le'olam yira odam atzmai, ki'ilu chetzi yizakei v'chetzi chayev, v'ki'ilu kol ha'olam kulai, chetzi yizakei v'chetzi chayev. Also, mitzvah chesichriya, atay amoira dike maisa. I'm over time, Shlomo, right? Okay. But I'll just finish this maisa. So given Ayidim ben Ebrak, maybe you heard of him, was a major Talmud Chacham, Reb Moshe Mordechai Schulzinger, you heard the name? Asachs for him, Mishmar Alevi. Even it Kol HaTorah Kuli Nubalpe. I heard him being maspid, a Yid, which was officially a balabos, this Yid, which was a Yid which worked, called Yomave, the Alter Yont Hashem Gesetz in the ground. He was a big Talmud Chacham. This balabos was a Yid which said himself a Shiur Dafayim. He was a big Talmud Chacham, you know. When he was nifta, I went to hear the hesped on him. Reb Moshe Mordechai said, I heard such good time. Reb Moshe Mordechai said like this. Many years ago, I said a drosh over here in this shul. In the shul where Reb Moshe Mordechai davened. He said a drosh. And then he spoke about reading newspapers. Okay? We can take it for any moshel. It's just the moshel. The nimshel is negate to every one of us in whatever. And I said like this, Moshe Mordechai was saying what he said then in the Rosh. He said every Yid is either going to meet the Malach HaMoves or Mashiach. One of these two behechrech you're going to meet, right? There's either Mashiach will come first or the Rachmana Litzlan nicht. So what do you want to be doing when one of these two meet you? Do you want to be in the middle of reading a newspaper? Or do you want to be in learning a Blat Gemara? That's what he said. Halt in Sinne. Nobody knows when it's going to happen. Mashiach is Ba Be'hesed Chadas. The Malach HaMoves comes without any, doesn't have to come with preparations. Ki lo ha'odom lo yedas itoi. Hat Moshe Mordechai gesagt, auf morgen, the next day I was walking in the street, there Yid ist zugekommen zu mir, the Nifter, Reb Aryeh, that was name is, said, Ba'amir hast du schon gepoilt. Ba'amir hast du schon gepoilt. How do you say it in English? You did it. By me, you accomplished. He stopped reading newspapers. He was a masmid always. He was a Talmud Chacham. But he was mekabel, that's it. Sagt Moshe Mordechai, he was nifter on the Gemara. He was nifter in middle of learning. That's the best way of going away from the world. Alle wissen, das ist Gemara, es steht in Sforim HaKadoshim, es ist Sefer Menucha Kedusha, moire dike Sach, es ist Sefer Kodesh, Menucha Kedusha, Talmud Reb Chaim Volozhiner, and he speaks about it by Chove. If someone is Zoiche, so b'shas p'tirose, he'll be being oisek belimud ha'toiche. And then it's something totally different. There's tzaddik and Rosh, but there's the way you left this world. That's negea to all of us. It's the same nekuda. Omar Shoimer, it's gekommen a minut. If we'll use it, if we'll be doing the right thing in the right minute, hat man aufgetan, als sein Osserboiker. Der Rebbe soll uns helfen. Jeden seinen Oisek war teure, jeden seine Koivea Itim war teure. The be'erich, usually the tachlis, the matorah from such a yarchikale is to take with the kinyanim of Agansio, to be moisef limud HaTorah, to be moisef avodas Hashem. The Rebbe soll helfen. We should all be zoicha to do the right thing, and we should all be zoicha that you should all not go back to America. You should all be zoicha to stay here. Right, Matzliach? Call it to.